Check out our 5-minute video below on this slow speed shooting technique. Cropping into a small part of this image, given that it's entirely blurred, doesn't carry the same issues as normal, because we don't have the usual concerns about sharpness. What we're looking for here is good composition, colour and impact. I have 45 million pixels to play with, but we're taking about 1/6 of the overall picture. Now, given that very small crop, as you can see here, I've opened up the detail panel. I'm going to click into the image because I want to see it at around 200%. We can start to see a little bit of noise here, so if I go down to the luminance, I'm going to put something like 40, 45 into there. We can see that it's smoothing that effect out quite nice. It's taking away most of the noise, but not all. Now I think I'd like to turn to my basic tab. And I'm going to give a touch to the auto button. Let's see how far that can take us. Not bad. Now I'm just going to tweak that a little bit. I'm going to take the highlights down a little more. I think I'll have a little bit of clarity, maybe a little bit more vibrance, maybe even I was going to take a little less exposure, but perhaps not. Colour balance, that doesn't look too bad to me, but of course we do have the opportunity to just warm the image a little bit if we feel it's appropriate. I think we've done as much as we can with the global editing. What I'm going to do is hit the M key. It's the equivalent of going to our masks and selecting a linear mask. The M key is very quick. I'm going to click and drag up at the bottom left there because I think that's the first weak area I need to deal with. I'm going to drop down the highlights, maybe take down the exposure. That seems to be doing something negative to the colour, so maybe I'll stretch the blacks to the left and the whites to the right, which will increase the contrast there a little bit, and maybe even a tweak of saturation. All these things are going to be pretty personal to each of us. Now I'm going to hit the M key again and do the same at the top, because I'd like a little darken in there too, not a great deal, but just a little bit to hold the image in. And of course that naturally takes us to the right hand side, so why not another mask? Touch the M key again. A very fast way of working. Click and drag. We're dealing with some highlights with the water there. We'll drop those, maybe even warm it a little bit if we wanted to. Drop down the exposure, but not too much. And of course it follows that we may as well do exactly the same on the left. Touch the M key again, click and drag. Quick and easy to get to that particular point. But wouldn't it be nice if we could raise the tones in the surfer and the surfboard? Let's select another mask from the little plus here, and this time I'm going to select my subject. Once Lightroom does this, we need to evaluate exactly what it's selected. Now it's selected some of the shadows down here as well as my main subject. I don't mind that, but I'm not too keen on the white, so I'm going to click the mask and subtract from it using a brush. I've got some settings over here. I'm going to bring the flow down a little bit, but all I'm going to do here is just remove it over those light areas a little bit. A little bit more flow, I think, to speed things up. It's always best to take your time here, but when you're making a video, of course, you don't have that time. So I've got a little bit of overspill around here, but I doubt it's going to make a great deal of difference. So once we've adjusted the mask, what do we want to do? We want to maybe raise the shadows. Certainly raise the exposure. And probably give it a healthy amount of saturation, because the surfer is the main subject here. Maybe even a little blacks and whites, which improve the contrast. And before we know it, we've got a pretty good image. I'm going to finish up with a radial filter. I'll select that from the top here. Most of these are going to have shortcuts. There we've got Shift and M for the radial gradient. But all I've got to do here is click and drag, and there you can see the inner part and the outer part. So this is solid, this part is soft. We get plenty of opportunity to change this. But what I also want to do is to invert it. I want to affect just the outer edge. We can do that over here. There you can see the masking we have. I just want the tiniest amount of exposure in those edges, just a tiny amount. And there, I think we have our image complete. As we take a brief look at the original image, we can see that our image editing often needs just a little vision. Thanks for watching.